All right, today we're going to be jumping into the top 20 altcoins and their performance and maybe the outlook that could drive these projects into the ozone layer. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to TechPath. You guys have been wanting this for a while. We did one about 45 to 60 days ago. We did an analysis on the top 20 altcoins, where the projects were holding, current sentiment, completely different field, I can tell you right now, on this round. We've seen a lot of changes in the project for sure. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor for today, and that is Token Metrics. In fact, one of the things that I use on Token Metrics is this tool right here that I love, and I've talked about this many times. I go in and I take a look at what Token Metrics TM grade is, and their TM grade is kind of a combination of sentiment, market analysis, tokenomics, and their own research that pulls together their overall score, and then it drops into their listing to where you guys can take a look at individual projects. Now, something that I do that is a little trick here, maybe you're new to the channel. This is something I do to help identify projects. What I'll do is I'll go in by market cap, and I want to look at less than or equal to 25 million in market cap. I'll apply that filter, and it's going to give me a new sort. Typically my volume, daily volume, I want to look at greater than or equal to a million, so I've got a little bit of volume in there. Then it ranks them out by token metric grade, TM grade, and I can start taking a look at some of these projects. And this is where I find a lot of my projects that go into my more risky portfolio and things that I'm really willing to lose on, but also have a little bit of faith as to what the project is doing, because I know that the Token Metrics team has done a little bit of research on it. They've dove into it. They've put it into their chart. Anything over an 80 is right here is where I kind of draw the line on 80. So I would be looking at projects and start diving into some of these projects. One I have been looking at is IPX. Another one that I've been looking at is MVP. Again, these are projects that may or may not necessarily be on it for you, but Token Metrics is a great tool to analyze new projects and of course, some of the altcoin projects that you guys are going to hear about today. Just click the link below. You can sign up for Token Metrics. We've got a special offer there, and of course, this is a tool we use every day here in the studio. All right, let's get into it a little bit for the winners and losers. I shouldn't say the losers, because everybody that's on this top 20 list is absolutely a winner. And then, of course, we have a couple that actually we have one secret token for you today that I want to talk about, and I want you guys to take a look at as well. But before we get started, just to go into kind of the leaders of the pack. And we've been talking about Polygon, Avalanche for quite some time. I want to jump over to this Avalanche story here. Avalanche, of course, 3 additional altcoins gearing up for rallies. This was a quick top crypto analyst that was pushing in to basically talk about some of the movement in the space. And if you look at AVAX right here, is trading 107 bucks, up over 42% from its 7-day low at 75 bucks. A lot of people were backing out of Avalanche at the $75 rate. It is one of the projects that we've been very, I think, one of the big proponents of, mainly because of our early attachment to the project when we were interviewing John Wu and their founder on AVAX Labs, or their CEO on AVAX Labs. And mainly because of understanding what they're up and what they are up to around developing this project, kind of the growth they have in DeFi, their movement into gaming, their overall evolution as a smart contract platform. There's so much happening in the Avalanche space, but for them to be in at the $75 mark, which is where they were here recently, this was a steal based on at least the short-term period of time. Hopefully that if you watched our videos back when we were pumping Avalanche at that time, you were probably buying at around the $12 to $14 range, as opposed to what you're doing today at 100 or 10x of that. So another thing to be watching, and that is a project called Near Protocol. Price up 36% in the past week. Exploring Metaverse and Web3 is paying off for Near Protocol. You know, Near is one of those projects, I think, that if you look at what they're doing and why they're doing it, they have so much in terms of kind of the overall ecosystem of what they're trying to do. They describe themselves as a collective, a foundation, and a development platform built on a new layer 1 blockchain. Again, this is one that we've been watching for quite some time, and it's showing up mainly because they've kind of attached to what Near is trying to do in Metaverse and overall gaming. This is another project again with Avalanche projects that, to gain needed investment. Colony, which is a multi-community driven accelerator, announced it's going to raise another $18 million in seed funding, according to the team. This is the latest round led by the Avalanche Foundation. Again, this is a scenario where we see more and more of Avalanche's moves into the space, especially the projects around them. So this doesn't necessarily, though it does show well on Avalanche, the real cool thing is that this starts to identify projects within the Avalanche ecosystem that should be watching. Make sure and check out our video on that. We actually did a video that talked about some of the projects that were coming up in the Avalanche ecosystem. Search Avalanche on our videos and you'll find out what I'm talking about. Then let's go in here to 7X Ventures, which raised $30 million to empower entrepreneurs. And 7X is an Asia-based blockchain fund. I like 7X and what they're trying to do. The main thing is that we've continued to watch the moves they're making in blockchain. They raised $30 million in the second phase of their seed fund. And 7X, and they added some LPs, limited partners, like family offices, hedge funds, blockchain industry veterans, etc. Look at the groups that they're investing in here. So they're moving towards Venture Fund 2, which is going to be specifically focused on DeFi, NFT. Let me zoom up on that for you guys. NFT, Web3. I don't understand why people put Web 3.0. It's Web 3. Polkadot, which I believe is absolutely still undervalued. Near Protocol, which we just talked about. And then the new ecology of data storage paradigm represented by none other than Arweave. Now, this is a sleeper that moved into our top 10 for sure. Let me jump over to the pricing and just to show you kind of how Arweave has moved here in the last 3 months. And a little bit of a fall off, but you can kind of see the all-time high right here coming in at around the 87.16. And then where it's trading right now, it had this nice little bump on the 19th of December at $58. But the real cool part was this little downtrend that they were at on a great bottom for Arweave of buying at the $37 mark. I mean, this is and would have been a beautiful entry right here for Arweave. So that's a good one that's on our list. We'll show you the ranking here in a minute. Again, here's Avalanche. Again, just another strong performer here. This is the 1 day. Let's go to the year to date. And you can kind of see where we were actually strong on Avalanche was back here in June. Trading at around $14, you can kind of see the movement here that Avalanche has had, even at this little fall off that they had, which was under the, well, right at, yeah, under the $70 mark on 12/13. And then a little further out, let's just zoom out on this one, zoom out. And let's go to the let's go to the 1 month. You can kind of see it pulling back out, but right here again, these are those dips that we talk about so often here on the show of knowing when to get in these projects, secure your position, and then get ready for either a nice steady run or a parabolic move. We may be looking at some very interesting moves, I think, with some of these top tokens, and I'll talk about those in a second. Polygon, of course, you're wondering which one is number one. I know you're looking and wondering which one is number one. If you just put it in the comments below, if this was live, you'd be able to kind of give us a vote on the fly. But you can see what Polygon has done just in the last day. Really another big run up, another big performer. Here's the 7 day, so nice moves up and down if you were trading in and out. There's the 1 month right there is that Polygon high at 251 to 55. We're looking to kind of nest back up to that. But this is one of the projects that has held on and continued to perform while Bitcoin has really struggled under the 50K mark. So Polygon, definitely a good one. I want to jump over to the chart now, and let's take a look at the altcoins on the top 10. All right, so this is our top 10, and what we did on this, for our Crypto Power Index ratings, what we do is we take the sentiment data, then we also leverage in the component for the amplification. So sentiment is in the pink, amp is in the blue. You've got Polygon coming in at number 1 at an 80.33, Avalanche nesting in directly behind them on sentiment at 79.51. And then you've got Luna coming in right there at 79.26. And here's the cool thing about Luna, they're the only one that is doing what we call a flip on amplification. Typically, if you've been watching us long, when an amplification score is higher than sentiment, we usually indicate some upward movement in a leading indicator. So that's a good sign for Luna holders. Arweave right there, very powerful, though their sentiment and amplification is a little bit lopsided, but still a very powerful sentiment placement for a project like Arweave that has not been in the top 10 before, at least in our charts. Binance Coin coming out, doing a very strong showing right here at 78.57. And then, of course, Elrond, which is another sleeper that well, it's not really a sleeper. It's been around and people have been looking at and invested in Elrond for quite some time. Eagle is definitely one to be on the lookout for, 78.06. Theta Network, we talked about this here on the show. We love Theta and what they're trying to do in the creator space, 77.02. Solana is the surprise here, sliding from what was the #1 token in our top 20 the last time we did this. This is a big move downward for Solana. I feel like this has been an issue because of the congestion that SolChicks and situations like that occurred, the breach that we had, all of that, they've kind of had a little bit of a negative news cycle since Lisbon. And I think that has showed out. And then Hedera, up out of the blue, came into the top 10 at 76.82. And then Near Protocol, as we said, again, look at the sentiment amplification on Near Protocol, 76.73 to a 75.93. That is a good showing, much like Avalanche and Polygon and Luna. See all the different ones? So if I was looking at a breakout, it's going to most likely be something like a Near Protocol. Let's move over to our next group of 10, which is our 11 through 20 group. This is getting the graph coming in at 76.49. Algorand comes in at number 12, 76.11. Polkadot's holding strong at the 13th coin. I think still Polkadot is way out in terms of not moving yet, but coming up the ranks, I think, soon. Harmony showed up here, but their amplification is very low. I don't anticipate Harmony to stay on this top 20 list for more than 30 days. Phantom, struggling a little bit. Again, amplification is very low on Phantom right now in comparison to what their sentiment is holding, which always tells me that we have a little bit of false hope on tokens when there's that much separation. Tezos coming in, interesting, not in a top 20 recently. And then Basic Attention token, BAT, has come in at 73.31. Helium showing up as well at 73.16. And then number 19 and number 20 is Quant and XRP. XRP holding continuously with consistent sentiment and amplification, which is, again, one of those tokens that probably should be further up on the list, but sentiment has not been powerful enough to kind of hold on to these other projects. Now, does this mean anything in terms of where you buy, where you don't buy? Hopefully, the idea behind these things when we do these market movers is it gives you a little bit of data, it gives you some fun stuff to look at, and maybe go research these projects and find out what fits for you. And I think that's the key is anyone, when you're looking at these things, not investment advice, the first thing you've got to do is understand where do you start looking, what kind of projects do you want to get involved in, and then you start looking at what others are doing and investing around them. Remember, go back in and look at not only the team, the funding sources, look at how strong they are, and then start looking at things like what we're reporting on here with CPI, and that is the cool part. Okay, I promised you a token that's out of the top 20 that I would say, hey, maybe this is one you should take a look at. You've heard us talk about it before. We've actually done a dedicated video on this project, and we did it quite some time ago. I think it was back in June, and it was trading at about the price it's trading at right now. So it's had a bit of a run up, and that is none other than Chili's. So let's take a look at the 1 year. You can kind of see this. We did our first video out here in the range of June right here. So it was in the 20 to 25 cent range. It had this nice little run up right here where it had priced in at around 53 cents. And then we've had this fall off. And I think Chili's is in a very interesting position right now to potentially see a little bit of a bump. Now, sentiment holding on this one, we're going to be doing a deep dive on Chili's for you. We'll drop it in our Diamond Circle. So if you have not joined the Diamond Circle, this is the time to do it, because this is where we start doing things like this, where we'll drop additional sentiment data into something like we see in terms of a token that might be on the move. So make sure and join. It's free to join, easy to get to, all you guys can have fun with that. We send you a couple of emails a week to kind of update you on the latest content, all that good stuff. Hit the links below. If you have an idea for a show, make sure and just drop it in the comments, because we read all of them. And best of all, if you guys have and want to reach me, you can do it on Twitter. It's @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.